Hey everybody, and welcome back to another Weather with Sim forecast. And in today's forecast, we're going to be talking about another large storm that's going to be coming to the United States over the next 7 to 10 days. And this is going to bring a lot of impacts, as not only are we anticipating the potential for more severe weather, especially as we get into the end of this week, but even as we get into next week, we will more than likely continue to see this long stretch of severe weather continue even to last into May. So we got a very long stretch of severe weather to get through, and same with rain, as we could also be seeing training showers and even severe thunderstorms over the same areas, which could potentially lead to flash flooding eventually, especially over rivers and streams, since we could be seeing a lot of that rainfall add up over the upcoming weeks. And of course, we will also be talking about some other things in today's forecast, so make sure to stay tuned till the end so that way you guys know what to expect for the next 7 to 10 days. Let's first start off by going over the severe weather threat for today, and you guys can see that we do have a small marginal risk. This is just a level 1 out of 5 on the scale across areas in southeastern Nebraska, southwest Iowa, into central and eastern Kansas, western portions there of Missouri, into northern Oklahoma. You guys will be under the gun for some severe weather for today. Main concern will be large hail, but even a few damaging wind gusts cannot be ruled out, especially across northern Oklahoma and as well as southern Kansas, so make sure you keep that in mind today. The good news is that we don't have any tornado threat in place, so nothing you really need to worry about. So the only thing you really need to do today is just have your plan in place just in case, and at least have a way or two to receive alerts. And that's all you got to do, since this is going to be a much lower threat than what we've been seeing. So not really something you need to worry about too much, but I hope you guys are still being weather aware. Once we get into tomorrow, we got another big day to watch for, as we do have a slight risk for severe weather across areas of Nebraska, even a pretty large area of Iowa, into northern Missouri, and as well as southern Minnesota. So definitely another area to keep an eye on closely, as potentially large hail upwards of 2 inches in diameter will be possible, especially if you live in this hatched region with the black lines going through it. Tornado threat, we do have a 2% risk for tornadoes. Good news is that the tornado threat still kind of stays on the lower side of things once we get into tomorrow, but this is still, at least concerning. Still concerning, since we may still see a tornado or two pop up. And then for damaging winds, we are looking at a lower threat for damaging winds as well, but still something to watch closely for, as we could still be talking about some damaging winds as high as 60 miles per hour in some areas. So main concern for tomorrow will of course be large hail, so make sure to get your vehicles into your garage, as we could be seeing large hail even greater than 2 inches in diameter, depending on what this looks like. So make sure to put your cars into your garage, especially have your tornado action plan in place just in case, and maybe secure some objects just in case we get some gusty winds around. And that will be as we get into tomorrow, which will be for your Thursday. Once we get into day 3, much more concerning severe weather setup, as we do have a slight risk level 2 out of 5 threat for severe weather for areas in northern Texas all the way up there into southern Michigan. Main concerns for day 3, which will be for Friday into Saturday later this week, I think the main concerns are going to be damaging winds and large hail once again, but I still think a tornado or two will still be possible, as we will have probably a large 5% somewhere in this. So something to keep an eye on closely once we get into your Friday later this week. So now's the good time to talk about it with your family, and of course prepare just in case this, disrupts any of your Easter weekend plans, because some people even like to do Easter plans even at the end of the week, especially on Friday and Saturday. So, like I said, talk with your family, get prepared for this if you do live in northern Texas, all the way up there to Michigan, or even areas in between. And then, of course, even the marginal risk around that, probably concerning too as well. And then as we get into our Saturday is going to be another concerning day Saturday, I think, as the Saturday actually lines, just right up with the edge of the severe weather threat. So if we draw a line right here, let's see how this looks. So there's the edge of the severe weather threat for Friday. But if we look at Saturday, you guys can see once again how it lines just right up with it. So once again, mainly for the continuation of the line of showers and thunderstorms are going to continue to roll on through this area. So I think damaging winds and large hail will be the main concern. But even a few tornadoes will still be possible. So still prepare for this, as I still think it's going to be concerning overall. And then once we get into your Easter Sunday, we still got to watch for some severe weather potentially over the same areas. So you guys also need to, be talking about your Easter plans, as I do think a lot of people will have, some issues here and there, especially as we get into Sunday, because it looks like Sunday might even be a bigger day since the site risk is a little bit wider, indicating that we might have a small enhanced risk in here. So make sure to keep that in mind if you got any plans for Easter Sunday. And like I said, good time to talk with your family about it and get ready for it before the worst of the weather comes later this week and even into next week. Let's talk about why we're seeing this. And you guys can see that when we take this forward, we are going to be talking about some very large amounts of energy rolling on through some of the same areas, especially across Oklahoma, Kansas, and Nebraska. The only problem is that we're kind of going to have a cap in play, and that's one of the reasons why the severe weather threat kind of stays on the lower side of things tomorrow. But we're still going to be watching for large to very large hail especially. And then once again, Friday and Saturday, you guys can see how that threat for severe weather just continues over the same areas. And then it looks like we may get a break again by the time we get into Tuesday. But if we continue to take this forward, I am expecting even more severe weather events. And you guys can see that once we get into the beginning of May, European model just wants to explode with severe weather all over the place. But I don't think that's going to happen, though, so obviously take that part with a grain of salt. But like I said, what we are focusing on is this energy and moisture once we get into the next couple of days and even into the beginning of next week. Total rainfall, if we add, all the storms that we're going to see over the next 7 to 10 days, we are likely going to be talking about some flash flooding issues, as you can see, as I am anticipating at least some of these areas to get over 2 inches, guys. We're talking a pretty large area that could get over 2 inches of rainfall. This includes areas in Oklahoma, Missouri, Arkansas, Illinois, even up there into Indianapolis, Indiana, and as well as these areas back over there towards Kansas. So you guys, really need to prepare for this, as this could be another one of those, big flood events. But like I said, it's not going to be anything nearly as bad as what we saw a few weeks ago. So I don't think you guys need to worry about the threat too much, but you guys should at least be under the gun, for potentially some more flash flooding, but don't expect anything, as life-threatening as what we saw a few, weeks ago. So you guys should be fine for the most part, especially because some of this rainfall is going to add up over the upcoming weeks. So it's not going to be, all rain in one day event, but it will still be something to watch for, as once again we're just going to continuously see these rounds of severe thunderstorms roll on through, and that's what's eventually going to add up the rainfall, especially across the Southern Plains, Midwest, and even the Ohio Valley. If we look at the risk for flash flooding, starting off on day 3, we got a site risk for flash flooding across northeast Oklahoma and as well as southwest Kansas. That will be for Friday and the Saturday. Once we get into Saturday, which will be for your weekend, we do have a much bigger site risk for flash flooding, and I wouldn't rule out maybe a small moderate risk in here. So this will be something to watch for. Like I said, it's once again not going to be nearly as bad, and even if we do see a moderate risk just means numerous flash floods are likely, but it would have to get much worse than that for there to be life-threatening flooding. So you guys should be fine for the most part still, but I would still keep an eye on this if I were you, and still be prepared for flash flooding just in case. And then once we get into day 5, that will be for Easter Sunday. The good news is that the threat for flash flooding isn't high as of right now, but it is still enough to where we are keeping an eye on it closely, and then maybe even a small slight risk embedded in this, so that will also be something to watch for as well. But thank you all so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Make sure to subscribe to the channel for if and when we do go live, as we will more than likely go live for one of these. We're still not sure exactly if we're going to be live. It just depends on how these look once we get a little closer, so we will keep an eye on it closely. Make sure to turn on all notifications as well, so that way you guys don't miss out on any of my future videos or live streams that we do here on this channel. And make sure to also share this with any friends, family, or anyone who you know on social media. We really appreciate your guys' support, and I hope you guys all have a great rest of your Wednesday out there, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Thank you all so much for watching, and goodbye.